Hi, welcome to Don Ross Therapeutic Yoga and Movement Moment for April. So this one I'm going to show you two movements for the shoulder, and the first one is just a release. You may be familiar with it. We're just going to do one side at a time, so we're going to be focusing on the internal rotation required by the humerus bone in the arm socket. So what you'll do is either in a seated or kneeling position. You can also do this in a chair or standing up actually. You're going to place the buckle of the strap over the right shoulder. And then the left arm is going to hang at your side. And that left arm, you're going to start to abduct it out to the side. Okay, you'll just lift and lower it a few times, noticing the range you can do that in without either there being some holding at the rib cage or you feel your weight shift side to side. So you'll stop before either of those two things happen. And then you're going to play with starting to internally rotate the arm bone and the arm socket. So what some of you might be noticing as you do this, that there's more rotation happening at either the wrist or the elbow. And what I'd like you to find is even rotation from the head of the humerus, the elbow and the thumb all moving together. Okay, and you'll just find a range that you can do that without any strain through the shoulder or without the shoulder itself rolling forward or the elbow bending. So just do that a couple of times. And then you'll keep it in that rotated position and you'll start to come into extension. So as you bring the arm back into extension, you want to stay in a range that, again, you don't get tight through the bottom of the ribs or hold the breath. Nothing pulling or tugging up into the neck or the back of the shoulders. And then you'll keep in that extended position and flex the elbow. So you'll actually come and hold on to the strap behind you. So wherever you hold on to that strap, it's nice if you can do this in front of the mirror because you want to notice your rib cage. And so as you hold on to the strap, you want to make sure that you're not moving through the torso or the ribs at all, that you're keeping that movement localized to the humerus bone. Okay, you only want to take the arm into a position where there isn't any pulling or tugging through the bicep or the front of the shoulder or the middle of the deltoid, and that the breath can stay easy, and also that as you've held onto the strap behind you, you haven't moved into extension at all through the spine. So then once you're here without any of those compensations, 3 breaths. So just nice easy breaths, inhaling and exhaling. You might feel the inhale through the chest or the space between the sternum and the spine. You might feel the inhale through the shoulder blades, the space between the shoulder blades. Okay, you're going to release that strap and bring the arm back, and just take a second to notice side to side how they feel. So for me right now, this side just feels softer. This side feels a little bit lower than the other. I'm not sure if my hands are at different lengths or not. Then we'll repeat it on the other side. So you'll bring the strap over onto the left shoulder. Just get this out of the way. We're going to use it for the next movement. And then with that arm, take a second, just notice where your pelvis is, whether you're seated or standing or kneeling, where your rib cage is, and your shoulders, and then you're going to start to abduct that arm. Okay, and then you're going to play with that rotation, so connecting the thumb the eye of the elbow or wherever the elbow is placed, and then the head of the humerus, and you're going to start to play with that rotation. So some of you might find that you're quite sticky in the shoulder, and if that's the case, you can get somebody to help you to actually manually move this upper arm bone to start to get some movement there. You can also play with this movement laying down with your knees bent on the floor, and that with the palm on the floor you just roll over the pinky and back down. Okay? And then we're going to start to come into extension. Just in the range that there's no pulling through the elbow or the front of the shoulder into the neck. And then you'll flex the elbow, find the strap, making sure that you haven't moved through the spine or the rib cage, that we've kept it to the line of the arm. And once here, just 3 easy breaths. Again, whether you want to feel the breath armpit to armpit, or the space of the collarbones, and then feel a smoothness pass along the collarbones. And just let the strap have the weight of the arms. And then you release that. Bring both arms down and then notice what the effects of that were. So often people say the shoulder feels lighter, feels like they have more space, it's less rounded, and they have more openness across the chest. So you may not feel a stretch in it, and definitely you don't want to feel any pull in the deltoid, either medially, anteriorly, or posteriorly. And you don't want to feel any pulling or tugging across the elbow joint either when you do that. Okay? And then the next movement I'm going to show you kind of connects the hips and the shoulders. And this is a great one as we start to get our bikes back out and want to be riding. Because as you know, on our bike, we've got to be able to have flexion at the hip, and then to bring the arms onto the handlebars, we've got to have enough flexion available through the arms, okay, without being rounded through the upper back. So there's got to be enough suppleness through the T-spine. So you'll come into, I'm using a headstander, but you could also do this on a chair or an ottoman. And you'll have the elbows down, palms down, walk the hips back just a little bit. So your weight is over the elbows and over the knees. And then you'll start to take the hips back, and the arms come into flexion at the same rate, and forward. So you're just gliding back and forward, and you're finding a range that as you move, that the movement is happening at the hip crease, meaning the leg bone's moving in the pelvis, and that there isn't a movement through the spine as you move back and forward. So as you move at the hip crease, also matching that with the same amount of movement at the armpit, the back of the armpit and the shoulder. So that if you're tight through the shoulders or limited through the thoracic spine, you might find that you get to a spot and you'll see people, or you'll feel like you start to round. So there's no change in the spine as you move into flexion and out of flexion, or towards extension, through the hips and shoulders. Belly is easy, breath is easy. Now you're just finding the range that you can feel a synchrony or a symmetry between how much the hips and how much the shoulders are moving, without a change to the spine. So this would be a great movement combined with the first shoulder movement we did, If you notice that you have numbness or tingling in the hands, or you feel a lot of weight in your asana practice through the palms and the wrists and things like downward dog or plank. Yeah. So those are 2 movements this month that you can play with, getting a bit more mobility and stability through the shoulders with ease through the spine, as well as some movement with that second one at the hips. So enjoy those. Love to hear any questions or what you notice when you practice those movements in your body. You can send questions to yoga.dawn@shaw.ca, or you can reach me through my website, www.dawnross.ca. Thanks so much for joining me. Namaste.